Welcome to the Indira Life Show. I'm Indira Diol. What if there is another way? Another way to experience your life. From the day we're born, we're taught how to succeed, how to solve problems, and how to keep moving forward. But almost no one teaches us how to live. A way where your worries no longer define your days. Where your life isn't led by fear, where your decisions come from clarity instead of pressure, and where the life you know you're here to live begins to unfold from within you. Most of us believe that if we could just find the right answers, life would finally feel different. But what I've discovered is the answers to the life you want have never been outside of you. That's the conversation we're here to have, because one conversation can change how you experience your life. Welcome to the Indira Life Show. There is another way. Let's begin.
Welcome, everyone. We have got, and I'm Dr. Pat, and I have the honor of co-hosting this with Indira. And, we are taking on topics. Each show we do, each episode we do, topics that I know we all think about, but we don't know what to do. Today we're going to be talking about the freedom of not believing every thought. Let me say that one more time. The freedom of not believing every thought. Now, this is tricky. I'm going to tell you a minute, and then Indira is going to walk you through it. So, have y'all ever replayed a conversation long after it ended? But I want to point something else out. Have you ever done that and not known you've done it? Think about that. Have you done it and not known you've done it? You've done it. And what I mean by that is it's such a powerful force that our thinking could be going on and driving our actions, reactions to things and not even knowing it. Have you ever found yourself screaming at somebody that did absolutely nothing to you, but you just got off the phone? You just got off a telephone call with one of your family members, right? So, but you don't notice that because your mind is still playing a story, even though you're not talking out loud about it. But today, we don't stop to question our thoughts. And this is one of the most interesting things because we have the power to do that and we don't. You see? So how much do we take in? What do we do about it? And how much of it do we believe? So it has to beg a different question. Do you believe those thoughts? What is the story you're playing over, telling you over and over and over and over again? That's what Indira is going to walk us through as we jump into the human experience. And Indira, great show, great episode. Look, we all have these conversations playing. And the reason I brought up this thing about not knowing, because I caught myself last night. There was a conversation that my mind was having with me that I didn't know about, but it was showing up until I caught it. And catching it, I was able to change it. But we worry about things that haven't happened. We actually worry about things that did happen. Okay, so that's a whole big thing. So how has this shown up for us? Why do our thoughts seem to have so much power?
So great. And I love this topic we're doing today because it will give you, the listener, so much freedom in your life, in your relationships, with your challenges. So let's talk about the freedom to not believe every thought. See, nobody taught us that a thought is simply a thought. Instead, we grow up believing that every thought we have is true. And more importantly, we think that we are our thoughts. So we don't question them. We don't observe them. We don't engage in our thoughts as our thoughts, not who we are, and therefore something we have control over. So a simple example, recently I sent one of my team an email, an important email, and usually that's how we work. And I said, I need you to get back to me, let me know X, Y, and Z, and we're on a timeline. So this happens at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's now 6 o'clock in the evening, and I have not heard back from this person. Meanwhile, my day is consumed. Well, did I say something in that email that wasn't okay? Are they not aligned with what I've said? Is there something going on that they don't want to get in touch with me? What's happening? Because this person is not actually responding back like they should, given the project we're working on. Now, it's okay that I'm having those thoughts because those thoughts are happening to me. But what's happening in the process is I had a horrible day. I had this
But
fear in the background. I had this stress. I felt like I was carrying a ton of rocks on my back. And then around 6 o'clock, I got a message. I really apologize. My flight was delayed and I could not get to you before now. Now, the impact of believing every thought is that it robs us of freedom in our life. So the thing was that I wasn't experiencing there's nothing wrong, everything is fine. It I was experiencing the thoughts that I was believing about what was happening. Now, here's the thing I want to say about why this is so powerful. How come our thoughts have so much power? We have a thought. That thought goes through our five senses. So we're not just having a thought, we're having an emotional reaction to the thought. That emotional reaction gives us like feelings. We're sad, we're happy, we're upset, we're scared, we're pissed off, we're annoyed, we feel somebody doesn't understand us. So then the mind looks to see about when that happened before. The past, it goes to the past and it brings up situations that played out the same experience. And so then you have now your experience that's going through your five senses around the thought. And then you have the past that the mind is bringing up about when that has occurred before to validate those feelings and emotions. And then you probably share it with somebody. Oh, I've been waiting all day for this email and I haven't even gotten a response. What's wrong with her? I didn't even expect her to do that. Like how could she even do that to me? Like I do, and so that then validates more the experience. And guess what? We're now in a new reality.
right,
So
right.
I want the listeners today to choose, each of you listening, I want you to think of a situation in your life because as we do this show, you could start to look for yourself to take a challenging situation or an upsetting one. What are my thoughts telling me about what's happening? That's where you begin. You gotta stop to see it.
Yeah. One of the things I want to talk about with this is we think they have to be major things, but we don't really think about the impact of the smaller things, right? Now, people may be thinking, come on now, it's just an email. Okay, something happened this morning, right? I ordered a patio umbrella and it came today. It says it's beige, right? That's what it says, beige. And it comes in, and my best friend Linda looks at it and she opens it up. And the first thing out of her mouth is, that is not beige. That's the first thing. The second thing she says is, it's white. Then we get it out of the box because now I'm like, did I really screw this up? I mean, how could I not order a patio umbrella and get the right color? So here I go. What's wrong with me? Okay. So then we get it out of the box. It's an off yellow. It is not even close to beige. So now I got my best friend who is a triple Virgo. This thing is yellow. And now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we should put it outside. Is it going to clash with the back of the house? And so So Linda says to me, why don't you just paint it? And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I can't even order a patio umbrella and get the right color. And
Mm.
then I realized, wait a minute. I ordered the right color. This must be what they're calling beige. So I have two choices at that moment. Am I going to let that ruin my day? Or am I going to make light of it? Because my response is, Linda, you know me, you know I can paint. So if you give me that, you have to let me paint whatever I want on it. I'm going to paint whatever I want on it. If you want it painted, and then it's going to sit outside and all the neighbors are going to see what I painted on it. But I'm not going to do anything like that. But you could see how something in our day,
You
think
know,
about the busyness we have. The mom
well,
that accidentally burns toast for little Jimmy's breakfast.
yes, yes.
And that turns into a disaster. I burnt the toast. I don't have time to do another thing. Leah Rollings did a show the other day and she used the term urgent and impossible and how we respond to it. But this is our mind that creates an entire 3-tent circus.
Yeah, and this is why I have the practice I have, because we are never going to change our mind, and it's not good or bad. It's just limited to its perceptions. It's just limited to its perceptions. The mind will always have a perception. You walk into a room and your mind scans. Now let's talk about it from your mind. Because your thoughts are coming from your mind. So you walk into a room and the mind scans because it's got to make sure that you're surviving. So what it does is it's always on the lookout for anything that could be derailing you from protecting you from surviving. So we've got a mechanism that has one purpose and we use it for everything. And I'm saying, no, that's not why we're here. We're not here to have the mind plays several roles in our life. It has one role. So how can we now, the awareness of seeing that is what gives the freedom. The awareness, not only that I'm having those thoughts, but that those thoughts is not who I am.
Yeah, yeah,
I am not my thoughts.
yeah.
Now, I need my thought to work when I'm putting the stove on and I'm not going to put my hand on it so I could get burned, or I've got to look right and left before I cross the street. The mind has a purpose, but when it's taking over our experience, by telling us what to think and how to feel about what's occurring, like the umbrella and what's the matter with you? You can't order a right thing. You could hear that your mind has or is organized for if you don't get it right, something's wrong with you.
I mean, and if you knew how long it took for me to select this one umbrella, it's not like I did it impulsively. It's like I researched it. I looked at it. I got the best price. It said beige. And what's interesting about it is what we do with this. Now, here's the good news. Neither one of us went to zero dark 30 on it. Neither one of us went to urgent and impossible thinking because it's not life or death. It's an umbrella. And it probably will really look light and bright out there. But here I am. See, this is what we need to discuss because we can change our way of seeing. It doesn't mean we don't take action on our own behalf. And I think that's where people get confused, right?
So
It
yes.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't mean I don't go back to the company and say, you know what? I ordered beige. This is yellow. What can you do? It doesn't mean I don't do that.
Well, it depends, right? Because right at the point of having the freedom to not believe every thought is a new space. And that's what you're starting to point to. What shows up in that space is what I call ourself. because you said something that I want to point to, that our listeners, you guys chose a situation, how you resolve what you're dealing with, as you did with the yellow umbrella. There, you said it, you could return it and get the right color, or just return it if they don't have the color, or you may see that, wow, I thought I wanted beige, but I really love how this yellow is going to show up in that
Exactly.
backyard, right? Now,
Exactly.
if you didn't pause to let go of the experience of what you felt, which, by the way, didn't just come from the umbrella, it came from a kid growing up and having all the feeling like there's some version of how long it took you to choose it, getting what you wanted, knowing you did all the right thing, and then it came out wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. And this is to your point, because this is a small incident, just like the email. However, these are small compared to the thoughts that drive us on major issues, our health, our wealth, our relationships, right? Oh my
Yes.
God, he did not call me today. What is he doing? Why isn't he calling me today? My husband calls me every day. He did not call me today. Uh-oh, is he with another woman? I went from, oh, honey, my battery, I didn't charge my battery, my cell phone. But I went to my husband's cheating because he doesn't call me one day. And the
No.
reason I'm bringing that up is because we go from 0 to 100. The mind can take us to a million places that may or may not be true.
Well, I want us to consider that none of it is true. If you're listening to your thoughts like it's true, you're now caught up in what your mind is telling you is your reality. And until you could shift out of that reality into another access to how to perceive what's occurring, you're stuck with that reality. 50% of divorces or more happen because you're in a reality that you can't get out of. I've
No
worked with many
kidding.
couples, and I've had couples, bags were packed and they were ready to leave each other. And just out of having this ability to let go of their thoughts and connect to the self perspective of what's actually happening, they started to listen to each other. They started to hear each other without the mind's thoughts there, because it took on the practice. If you're
Mm,
not going to get the mind's thought out of the space, you don't have another space for something else to show up.
yeah, yeah. So take us through. I want a couple of things now, and I want people to pick their own experience. We're giving you a few examples, and I'm sure Indira and I have a million more we could give you, but we don't want to make this about us. We want to make this about learning. So, look, walk us through Indira, and this is the work you do. This is Indira Life,
Hmm.
right? This is
Hmm.
the one-on-one, the groups, the talks you do, whatever you
Yes.
give us an option that we had not thought about yet. So if you could walk us through the distinction between having a thought and believing a thought, and then explain how the mind is designed to protect us, but
Hmm.
not necessarily tell us the truth. Now that
Right.
seems like, what did I just say? Protecting us, but not telling me the truth. What,
Right,
Indira?
right. So let's perfect. Let's actually go into that, because in order to have an understanding of you're not your mind and its thoughts, we have to look at, well, what is my mind? Because we're never engaged in that. And when we go to grade school, no one pointed out, oh, you have these thoughts that are always going on, and it's coming from the part of you that's called your mind. And your mind is designed, it has to process everything. It has to, if something happens, any situation, your mother yelled at you because you didn't clean the floor properly, that moment gets trapped, gets coined, gets stored in the mind. The mind is a mechanism. It's like the most sophisticated computer on the planet. And if everything that has occurred to you is stored, and it's stored because the role of the mind is to have you survive life. You've got to work and pay your bills. You've got to clothe yourself. You've got to pay, you got to live in the physical world. So the mind is very good at that. But when we start to take our experiences and let the mind define what those experiences are, we're stuck with more of our past, more of what our mind has told us we are. So I started this show. This is my second episode. And I hated high school and I hated to do tests. And my sister used to bring home my report card to show my parents, and I didn't get good grades because she got all the A's. And doing this episode is like bringing me right back to high school. And I'm like, oh my, do I know what I'm doing? I don't even know. Meanwhile, I've spent 25 years in this. It had no, that doesn't matter. My mind is, you better get prepared. Are you sure you know what you're going to do? Are you clear on who you are, on what you are, on what you say, and what you deliver? And it's really crazy, but that's what happens. You see, most of us would never take actions to do things because the mind is controlling what we can do, what we can't do, how we feel about things. So the mind by itself isn't the issue. It's that we've misidentified that the thoughts we're having is who we are. And what I teach you and what I guide you to know is that there is another part of you that's called yourself. And that is not shaped by your past. It is not shaped by any of your experience. It never goes there. It stays in the now, and it gives you access to how to show up in a situation. That's very different, because if the mind is telling you, because Paul told me that he didn't want me to bring a bag 4 times when I was trying to be useful, and so I left there annoyed and pissed off. And thank God I could release my mind, because by the time he called me to tell me what else he wanted and to tell me, hey, have a good show, I could barely hear him because my mind was still like, what the hell? Couldn't you just have me bring the bag? What's the problem? So the mind doesn't release anything, it keeps it in play. So we keep going over and over and over again situations. And that's why we feel like no matter how much we learn, no matter how much we do, we still find ourselves stuck in situations.
There is okay, so this is perfect, right? I love that you mentioned that. Because each and every day the mind is going, right? Until
Yes.
maybe something happens to you, and who knows what goes on in the mind. But it goes. And there is a movie that came out recently, and it's a Spielberg movie. It's called Disclosure Day. I personally really loved it. But there's a line in it, and there's a controversy in it. And the controversy in it had people posting about it. Some people will not go see the movie because of this. And so I'm not going to give out the movie, but there's thinking and believing. So there's one school of thought in the movie that says we cannot believe in non-human beings. We can't, because the scriptures say God created man, blah, blah, blah. So there's a line in the movie that changed that. And people went back to the Bible to look this up because they didn't believe what the movie said. But they did believe something that the Bible doesn't say. It's such a fascinating thing to watch. And there's a line in the movie, and a nun from a monastery is talking to a woman that says, but God said that man was his best. And the nun says, no, God says man is the best on earth. And she goes on to explain in this movie, do you think the God, and now these are monastery religious people, so let's put it in that context. So she goes on and say, do you think the God that we believe in is so small that he creates an entire universe and just one type of person on Earth. And that aspect of the movie divided people. Some people say it was one of the reasons that a Spielberg movie didn't make it. I thought it was one of the most interesting thoughts that I had thought about in a long time, because I grew up Catholic, and so I knew what I was told. And I went back to the scriptures, and I had to read this for myself. But in my mind, can you imagine going through an entire lifetime thinking and believing now on something that wasn't actually said? Why would we do that?
Well, here's the deal. We don't,
Here's the deal.
the thing is, we don't have a choice. The mind is running or what we think and believe. See, having a thought is different from believing a thought. We don't have that context in our life. That's why my book is a new paradigm. The paradigm we live in is we have a thought and we believe a thought. My paradigm is having a thought is different from believing a thought. And what it gives you access to is another experience of what there is in that moment. So the people that could let go of the thought that they're having about the movie and their ability to be able to do that would only expand their capacity to have dimensions available to them that's not available when you're only in the belief that your thoughts are giving you. It limits your experience of life.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about, because we need to talk about what begins to change when we change this perspective, when we change a different way of seeing. You see, if we do that, there has to be something else that changes for us. But before we do that, we're going to take a short break. How do people get the book? Tell us about the book. Tell us how people can work with you.
How you get the book, go to Amazon.com, go to Indira Diol, put that in. My book is You, a Spiritual Being on a Spiritual Journey. It's a new paradigm for living life. And it's the genesis of this conversation. You would love it. It has audios that shift you out of the mind, and it has a workbook session in the last chapter to use in areas of your life. And go to IndiraLife.com, and my membership is there. And also send me an email and let me know how you enjoyed my show. And I will keep you on there for when my app comes out.
I love it. Let's take a short break, Emily. When we come back, we're going to talk about what begins to change. What changes? I know for me, watching that movie, I'm not sure how I felt about it. I mean, there's a sense of me, Indira, always knew that there was something other than us. Mm-hmm. But to really bring that up and point something out that was contrary to what a majority of people read in Genesis.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good.
Let's take
all interpretation. We'll bring that back.
There we go. Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Tired of feeling exhausted as a parent? I would love to help you with a new vision for yourself that is focused on intentional wellness parenting. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and I have over 40 years' experience with complex cancer patients. I offer consultations, coaching, and educational programs for parents who want to boost their health and reduce risk of disease, especially cancer. For more information, go to AurelieCormier.com.
Hey everybody, oh my goodness, we have got talk radio for all of us.
Really, thank you for blazing the trail for women in talk radio and just being such an inspiration to me and so many other people. What you're doing is so awesome. And, without people like you there to really step out of the box and go for it, I don't know if someone like me would have ever ended up here, but I'm so happy to be here. And I just want to thank you for everything you're doing. You're one of my major inspirations.
Luvology is where your body remembers what your soul never forgot. I work with men and women who are often at the edge of midlife, who are done with surface level living. People who've built the life but still feel numb, who ache for something deeper, more presence, more truth, more touch. We work with what's been silenced: desire, shame, grief, raw pleasure, and the truths your body has been whispering for years. Using ancient practices, modern science, and yummy, delicious sex tools that awaken rather than perform, we reclaim what it means to feel deeply and live turned on from the inside out. This isn't about fixing. This is about remembering. This is conscious hedonism, rooted, real, and alive. If your body's been asking for more, you are in the right place. This is Luvology. Want to go there? Book a compatibility call at gwenamcarsley.com. Let's begin.
Welcome to Shanti Mission, a school for the soul. If you're seeking personal transformation, deeper spiritual awareness, sacred music, or the support of a welcoming community, Shanti Mission offers signature workshops and healing programs in a warm and inclusive space, designed for growth and connection. For more information and to access free resources, visit shantimission.org. Together, we can anchor peace.
Tired of feeling exhausted as a parent? I would love to help you with a new vision for yourself that is focused on intentional wellness parenting. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and I have over 40 years' experience with complex cancer patients. I offer consultations, coaching, and educational programs for parents who want to boost their health and reduce risk of disease, especially cancer. For more information, go to aureliecormier.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is the Indira Life Show. I'm Dr. Pat. I'm along with Indira. I get to take this ride. Today, we're talking about the freedom of not believing every thought. And I got to tell you, it's probably a journey for me, but it really is a freedom. So far, what we've talked about is we've given some great examples of how we think, the human experience, who we are, what we go through, whether it's, as we talked about, an email or a patio umbrella or a divorce. Or something bigger than that. I interviewed a whistleblower the other day. I'll never forget this, Becky McLean, a whistleblower from a major pharmaceutical company who really went through 10 years in court and a battle to expose what was out there. Yet the public would believe what was spun around. And this amazing Becky woman, McLean, wrote a book, beat them in court about what really happens in biochemical labs. So I asked her a question, and I want you to pick it up here in a minute. But before we do, one more time, how do they get your book? How do they work with you? How do people do that?
Great. My book is the genesis, or it has the world that we're talking about right here. It's on Amazon.com, and it's the title is You, a Spiritual Being on a Spiritual Journey, a New Paradigm for Living Life. And I want to say this about my book because it has the title Spiritual, but it's really speaking about that when we are experiencing life where our thoughts is not who we are, we actually access the part of us that is that isn't tied to the physical realm as our reality only. So we expand our awareness of who we are and why we're here. Why am I in this relationship? Why am I in this job? Not the why, but what's the journey? What is the journey of me as a parent? When you flip that context, you open up another realm that's not shaped by just what the mind wants to throw at you every day. As you said, even doing the toast and burning it throws you into a loop. But that's what this book gives you, that there is another realm, another access point you have other than your mind. And that is what I call the self. So that's my book. And my website is IndiraLife.com, where you'll get more information.
Thank you for that. And, what we're going to talk about now is we're going to take this to the next step, because personally for me, that new information from just that movie, right, opened my eyes up. So when I was interviewing Becky, I asked her a question: how did this experience change you? And that's what we're going to talk about next, because what begins to change, Indira? What changes for us? If that's true, what does begin? If we take this all in here, what begins to change?
Yeah, so the first shift that happens is you discover that what you're looking for comes from you, not outside of you. So your marriage is screwed up. You don't like your husband or your partner or your wife is like, no matter, you keep saying the same thing over and over again, you feel not heard, you feel they don't care anymore, the sizzle has gone out, and you're just like hanging by a thread, like you're surviving life, is how I like to say it. Surviving life is when we're putting up and tolerating with all of these thoughts, and that is giving us all these emotions that we're living as our truth. See, we're not born to live that way. And happens is when you start to become aware of your thoughts as just your thoughts and not you, you access the part of you that can, in that moment, shift the way you're seeing that situation in your relationship. And you actually get different actions, totally different actions than what your mind will be telling you over and over again you should do, and what is real and what is true. Remember, the mind is telling you what's real and what's true. The self part of you, when you see those thoughts and you let them go, the freedom opens up this space where the intuitive part of you, that inner knowing, starts to come about. And that is where you start to feel that you are not just surviving life, but you have your hands on the steering wheel of your life, and you are taking it where you want to go. And the problem is not the kids, the problem is not society, the problem is not your partner, the problem is not the job. When that shifts, you have access to how you could step into situations and bring actions that really move your life in a different direction. Meanwhile, the mind is still talking to you. Oh, what the hell? What WTF? Why are you doing that? That makes no sense. You know you're going to fail. You know this is not right. You know how they are. You know how they feel about you. It doesn't stop talking. But this practice, my practice of Connect, Listen, Trust, Act, it is what allows you to release that and open up that other space. Now, you do that on your own as well. If you've taken a situation on in this episode, great. Start to notice just by seeing your thoughts and going, oh, that's a thought. I don't have to believe it as true. Trying that on like you put a coat on, just try it on. You'll notice you're lighter. You'll notice that the cloud over your head isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll notice that you can breathe a little deeper. It's a totally different experience of life. And that's what
I
my
know.
work does. It gives you a different experience.
And here's what I want to say about that. A lot of times we by ourselves cannot pinpoint and figure it out. There's usually a reflection, right? Like with the umbrella. I honestly, I wouldn't have seen it as yellow until it was like, that's a yellow umbrella. Then when I pulled it out, all my thoughts were, that's a yellow umbrella, right? And then I went through and, it was like, I thought you were going to get the teal one. Well, I could. So here we go into that, right? But in the world, things take on a life of their own. Last night, something really interesting happened to me. And it's so funny it happened because I prepared for this show. So I was aware of it happening. And I went and I played, and I was talking to the guy that was running the league last night. And I said, I got this. This is me now. I got this pattern. I seem to be able to win 2 games and then I lose the next 3, and I don't know why. And he said, why do you believe that's true? Why do you believe that's a pattern?
Now, I want to pause there for a second, because the why is allowing you to stop and observe yourself.
Did.
Right? Now, what I then do is go, well, what is there for me to know about my journey of playing my game? Because you're now activating that, you're now leaving the thought that is fixed. The mind thoughts are fixed realities, remember? Yep. Because even though you see it now, when you go to play again, it's going to show up again.
Well, I don't know, because I'll tell you what he said to me next. He said, what if it's not a pattern? What if you just made it a pattern? And then he walked away. And after saying that, I had one last game to play. And I won that game. Now, it took me longer, but I kept hearing this. So let's talk about there is another way, because that's the piece we got to cover in the show, which helps people understand there is another way, whether it's about your marriage, whether it's about the job, whether it's about, driving with your road rage sister. It doesn't matter. Is there another way? That's the question.
Yes. The other way is it's simple. It's not complicated. And the mind likes to make everything complex and difficult. What occurred is that person just revealed what the mind was making real. And your awareness of seeing that shifted your experience of how you were playing. That's how it works. So the other way is simple. Your thoughts is not who you are. Well, you gotta say, nobody taught you that your thought is simply a thought. That your thoughts is true and your thoughts is you. So the other way is beginning to become acutely aware of your thoughts. Awareness is the word that I want to leave the listeners with, is awareness. You had awareness when he said that. That awareness shifted your experience, because you are now outside of the thought as a reality. You're no longer in the thought as a reality, and you kept releasing it, which is why my app is called Mind Release, right? Because the key is we keep releasing our mind. The more we release our mind, the more opening happen in life. People often say to me, it's like magical, like
it is.
Things happen and come into their life that, where did this happen from? Or situations that they never thought would occur because they had to go work hard to get there. Suddenly, your child is acting differently. Or at work, people are coming up to you and being nice and caring, whereas before you thought nobody gave a shit about, excuse me, nobody at work even know you existed. Just releasing our thoughts shifts our reality. And when our reality shifts, that space of everything is possible shows up. like who we are. You know how there's all of us, we know inside of us we're there. How do we get it out? How do we be that person we know we are? It's like locked in there. Like we feel like we can be anything, but our circumstances and our situation define who we can be. When you start to become aware that there's the freedom to not believe every thought, that awareness is what opens you up. It starts taking down all the barriers that show up around you, because believe it or not, the thoughts is what you're swimming in. It is your reality. You have no other reality except what your mind is telling you. And one of the exercises I would leave people with is start writing down what your mind is telling you. And I'm not saying go journal your mind. I'm saying write it down, like you want to see what your mind is saying, because you're saying to yourself, I am not my thoughts, and this is not my reality.
Yeah.
And that's the other way. The other way is the choice to see that your thoughts don't have you, you have your thoughts. The moment you see that, you can exist. See,
Yeah.
when you see that, well, who's the you that's observing your thoughts? That's you.
I mean, look, one of the things I used to love doing shows about are these people, ordinary people that do extraordinary things. And I remember doing a whole series, and I love the case studies that I would find on the moms, right? I can't remember which one it was, but you'd have to look the case study up, where a regular, ordinary looking mom, right? Child has some kind of accident. There's a heavy thing on the kid, and the mom doesn't say, oh my God, I can't lift that up. No, the mom goes over there and doesn't think I can't lift it up. But if I had to be the mom, I bet she's thinking, I am going to lift this up. And there are multiple examples of this, right, out there. Of course,
Yes.
I have to say the word alleged examples because YouTube is monitoring this. Let's call them alleged. But when you look them up, you see
Ugh.
them. It happens all over the world.
Yeah. I want to say something about what you just said. See,
Right.
this is why I like that it's a paradigm shift. We live in such a fixed reality. Our reality is fixed. If your partner cheats on you and you don't divorce them, then you're stupid. I'm making this up, right?
That's true, though, right?
If
That
you're
is-
in a job that you don't feel is fulfilling, you should just get out of it. See, those are realities that you live in and you're become a defect of. None of that is true. What if none of what your mind is telling you is true? Use your mind for what it's there for. Information to assist you in living in the physical world, take care of your bills, your taxes, remember to pay your stuff. That's what the mind is good for. Anything else, you're living in the illusion that what your thoughts are is who you are. And that's where you get lost in your life.
Yeah. And I just got a text from somebody that's teasing me a little bit. Okay. Because they know me a little bit. And they said, you didn't open the umbrella in the house, did you? Okay. Because why didn't I open? And I'm telling you, I said to Linda, don't open the umbrella in the house. That is a perfect example. I don't have any evidence that opening the umbrella in the house is going to give me bad luck, but I guarantee I am not opening that umbrella in the house.
Well, yes.
And
So
right?
amazing, amazing. So when we begin to sort of play with, wow, here's my mind telling me this, that's when you start to have some fun with it too, Like my mind is always telling me something about my partner, and it's never what's good. It's always what shouldn't be. And I'm designed that way from my mind, I grew up with parents that ended up divorcing. So I'm always like, seeing life through those lens. Those lens shape everything the mind manages for us. And that's where this is so impactful, because the thing is, you don't have to go, twist yourself into a pretzel or find 20 million things to change yourself about. You're not changing anything. You're simply becoming aware of your thoughts as just thoughts. And you have a choice to release it, because your thoughts are not true. They are just thoughts happening to you. It's like it's raining on you. It's like thoughts are happening to you. It's
Yeah.
just, look, you wake up in the morning and you have thoughts. You wake up in the morning, you look outside and it's a dreary day. And I know my day is going to suck because it's a dreary day. I didn't have to think that thought. It was just.
And for me, it's a dreary day, which means I'm not going to feel guilty when I go to play table tennis tonight.
There you go. There you go.
That
Right.
guilting, right? But look, we don't have to believe every thought,
No.
right?
Mm.
And that is the thing, isn't it? That changes how we experience life.
Absolutely.
When we don't believe every thought.
Exactly. Start inspecting your thoughts. What is your thoughts saying to you about this situation? Get interested in it. Learn how to release it. And that's what I'm here to provide for people, is an easy access to release it, because it's not simple. I mean, I'm going to tell you the honest fact. It's not an easy thing, but when you start to live as an aware human being, that's a different world. When you could be in the middle of a sentence with your child and stop because you notice and have become aware of where your words are coming from or what's shaping your thoughts in that moment, you've got a whole different way of how to parent. I mean, that's the magic of this in any situation. But just imagine that one thing. And the thing I want to say about this that you discover when you begin to live this way, and that's why I have my practice, only to support you in this, is that the situation that you're in shifts when you shift out of your thoughts. Because what's happening is you're saying, no, that's not my reality. And the moment you declare that's not your reality by releasing your thoughts or not believing them, your reality shifts. So the situation outside of you now gets to live in a totally different experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is to the point that I think we should leave people with. Nothing outside, like you said, nothing outside may have changed. Like, I'm not going to go downstairs and magically see a new color. Although the person that keeps texting me says, I guarantee when you open up the umbrella, it will not be as yellow as you think with it closed. So that's a new thought. Isn't that great? Once you open up the umbrella, it's like right now it's all squished. So they're thinking you open it up, it's going to be lighter. It ain't going to be yellow. Okay, I'm going to hold that thought. But something inside does change. Like last night, when Soren pointed that out to me last night, two things did happen. It did change me on the inside, but it also changed the way I played that last game.
You got a different you got different results.
Right. Yeah. I may not have the ability to change the color of that umbrella. And I guarantee you, no matter what I open it looks like, Linda will still think it's yellow. So let's just say that. Now, that's a thought that may not be true. But you see, this is interesting. There are two people looking at this, right? How often do we do that? Two sides of the same coin. Here's my partner, here's my boss. My boss is treating me different than he's doing this.
Now,
right?
this is where you go to yourself, because every situation the mind's going to have a reaction to. So when you release the mind, you get to come from yourself and source your actions from there. You did that at the table tennis. You shifted the energy. If you read my book, I talk about the mind as an energy and the self as an energy. You shifted your energy, and in shifting your energy, you could say you showed up, not what your mind's experience of you is based on that pattern. And even in my book, I talk about mind patterns and how it shapes our experience and our actions. So yes, you'll get a lot of stuff in the world. That's why we wake up every day as a human being. And what I'm saying is that discover that there is freedom in not believing every thought, because what happens is you start to shift the results around you. You start to shift your experience of life.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for this today. Last question. I would like to know what you'd like to leave us with, but also, again, tell people how they can work with you, because I know this journey for me, I tried for the first 40 years of my life. I tried to do everything myself, and that didn't work. All I did was numb myself.
Yes.
Tomorrow is my 36th anniversary of being sober. So how did I do that? Well, okay. We could talk about that in the next episode, but it certainly wasn't thinking that I couldn't beat it. It certainly wasn't the thought that I'll never be able to do this. That wasn't in my consciousness. But how do we find out more about you? How do we get the book? And what's your last message for us today?
Though the last message is this, okay, just because a thought appears in your mind doesn't make it true. You don't have to believe every thought that you think, and that changes how you experience your life. That's it. That's it. And you can reach me at indiralife.com, send me an email, let me know maybe what you're dealing with and what topics you'd like to hear on the show, because this show is about you and your life. And go to amazon.com and get my book and get into the conversation, and let's cause the lives that we're here to have: joy, fulfillment, and playing your tennis and winning and having a great time.
Exactly. And I want to say one thing. One of the most requested things we get for this show is they want to hear about money, the money mind.
Okay.
They want to hear about, not abundance, although I don't know how you do either. So you and I talk about the money
bringing
mindset.
that in as a topic. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you, Indira. Thank you, Emily. And thanks to all of you out there. And no, I am not going to open up the umbrella in the house. That is not going to happen. And I am going to hold the thought that when it is open, finally, after it stops raining and I put it outside, it will be beige. We'll see you next time.
We'll find out next time. Thank you.
Before we leave today, I'd like you to carry one question with you. What if there is another way? Not someday, not for someone else, but for you. We'll keep exploring that question in all areas of life, one conversation at a time, because one conversation can change how you experience your life. Thank you for joining me on the Indira Life Show. There is another way. I'll see you next time.